afternoon, everybody. This is your host, Huge Pop, from the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast, and it is WXW week. We're rounding into the weekend. WXW is going to put on their final show. Office closing the door. Bless his heart. He's putting on this show. And today, we have a special guest. She is AKA Mom to the Third Gen, the Daddy Hunter, a WXW superstar, breaker of standards, boss babe. Please welcome to the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast, the one, the only, the Daddy Hunter, Ashley. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Wonderful. That's finally a good time to meet you. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule. I know it took a couple days to figure out when we were going to do this, when we weren't. I apologize, and I'm thankful for you able to reschedule.
You're fine. The grind never stops. You work hard for this, just like I work hard for everything I'm doing. So it's understandable.
I'll just put it to you fans who's watching and who are watching later on. It might get a little heated in this place today, but this is what wrestling is. This is what it's going to be about. And if it wasn't for some heat, what would make a good show, correct? So
exactly.
Before we get to the heaty part of it, Miss Ashley, so what was going through your mind and as a child, as a kid, teenager growing up about wrestling? Did you like wrestling? Did you watch it?
So it's so funny. I've never really had a good solid relationship with my father. Okay. And so because of that and other situations that occurred, my mom essentially kind of almost banned wrestling in my house from the age of like 4 to the age of 15. Now I was born in 1987. So from the year of 91 to roughly my freshman year of high school, which is probably 0203, I was not allowed to watch wrestling. So I missed a good chunk of wrestling, right? But then I started to like sneak it around when like my mom would go to bed or my mom would be out of the house. And then right after, about midway through my senior year, I met a guy that I would end up engaged to. And I became very close with his father, who I consider him my father. He's like my father, my friend, one of my favorite drinking buddies. Taught me a lot about barbecuing, smoking, and cooking. And a little note to Julio real quick. I don't burn the chicken. So
dang it, you took my question. We're gonna visit. We're gonna revisit that. Okay, right after you get done with your childhood, we're gonna revisit that. Go ahead.
So he was a worker. So I consider him my father. The first thing he taught me about the business was how to take and give a chair shot. So I learned right off the rip how to like take some good hits. And then he taught me how to what we call gig.
Okay.
So, which I don't know if you know what that is.
Go ahead, tell us what gig means.
That is when you get cut open, and how to control your body from not bleeding to death. Okay. So I learned how to do that right off rip, and then from there, it took a couple of years. I was working at Disney the first time. First time I did a stint for the mouse. I met one of my best friends who I consider my brother, and if you ask everybody in the wrestling business, that's my brother. His name is Joey Mayberry. Now he goes by the Dad Bod Demigod. He convinced me to go to training with him. So I started fairly late, mid to late 20s, I would say. No, early 20s, because I've been doing this on and off for about 13 years now. Wow. So it just kind of progressed from there. I've had to take some time off. There was some personal issues. I've had a son while I've been in this business, who the third gen is. You can ask anybody that knows me now. This kid is already taking bumps, trying to climb turnbuckles, already knows how to take hits. Like, this kid's crazy. Nice. So it's just progressed from there.
Nice. So as a fan, do you acknowledge the tribal chief?
So I've been asked this by so many people, everybody that I work with, right? I acknowledge. So as a fan, I acknowledge that Roman has an amazing talent set. Obviously, he's got a very strong bloodline. Comes from Pops and Uncle Sika are probably one of the, if not the greatest tag team in the history of wrestling. I wouldn't be where I am without Pops today. So do I acknowledge that he has talent? Yes. Do I acknowledge the tribal chief? To me, the tribal chief is the head of the family, and to me, the head of the family is Pops. So
same answer as Chico gave me. Chico Adams last night. He said no. Wait, yes, no.
Chico and I have been trained properly.
You have. I will give that. Pops, man, if you're listening and watching this later on, you train these guys properly, man. You are the tribal chief. You sit at the head of the table. But I still acknowledge Roman Reigns, but I acknowledge you too. So
listen, it's okay to be a fan every once in a while.
That's right. So, here's the question.
Okay.
Julio Rivera Vertigo says this.
Oh.
Miss Ashley, Daddy Hunter, why did you burn the chicken?
Okay. I didn't burn the chicken. So here's what happened, okay? Pops was having one of his barbecues, and my ex-husband was put in charge of the chicken because my ex-husband is a chef. Pops told him to handle the chicken, which when I say the chicken, this was enough chicken to feed like a whole family, like almost the whole locker room was there, right? So this is a lot of people, a lot of chicken. It's okay, depending on who you ask, it was Pops' fault the chicken burned, or it was my ex-husband's fault. Because I love Pops and I fear Pops, my ex-husband burned the chicken. So I did not even touch the chicken.
So
okay.
If I'm putting pieces together, see, I didn't realize this until you started talking this. Is your ex-husband Sean Scott?
God, no.
Okay. I asked that question. I was supposed to ask that question to Sean Scott too. And his response was, look, I'm black. I ain't gonna bring no damn chicken.
And here's the thing, it's funny he says that because people look at me and they're like, oh, white people don't season the chicken. If anything, I'm the opposite of a typical white girl. I over season my food. I don't put raisins don't go anywhere near potato salad. Let me make that clear. Mayonnaise is not seasoning, and seasoning requires more than salt and pepper. So
yes. There you go.
I didn't burn the chicken though. Julio, you know I didn't burn the chicken. It's not my fault.
Not clip that for TikTok, right? There you go.
Okay.
I mean, I had to ask,
I knew he would say, I knew it. As soon as he told me that he would talk to you, I was like, oh God, the chicken.
So, as you're growing up and you got, get older and say, hey man, this wrestling business looks cool. I want to get into it. What was that final decision? Why did you do it? Where'd you go train?
So it came down to my brother convincing me. He's like, hey, just come try it out. You don't like it, you don't have to do it. He's like, you don't have to do in-ring. You could be a valet. You could be a manager. I trained out of a place in Orlando. And when I say that, when I say it's a dojo, if I say the word dojo, everybody tends to know. They know when you speak about Florida wrestling and you speak about a dojo in Orlando, everybody knows. It's a very controversial dojo. We'll just leave it at that. Is where I started. But I've had, a lot of hands in the pot in my training. Obviously I trained a little bit at the Wild Simone Training Center. I didn't do too much there because it became a traveling issue for me. And then, I've worked a little bit with Hound Dog, out of Amp Pro Wrestling. And he has, the dog pound training. So I've done some training with it. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry. I promise I'm a lady. I had having an energy drink, so it's causing a little bit of a. So I've had a few hands in the pot with my training, and I've taken something from each of them. Taken a little bit of knowledge from each, and everybody that has trained me. I will say this, despite personal issues and drama, everybody that has trained me knows this business and has skill. They wouldn't be trusted or in business if they didn't.
I get a picture of there'd be a lot of, I don't want to say animosity or like friction. Is there a lot of friction down in that area with all these Florida promotions?
Some of them, yes. Some of them it's more of a healthy competition. And that's kind of like what I like to see is like WXW is for me, that was the big promotion here. And then of course you have WWN, and there's, you know, Riot Pro, New Heights Wrestling. There's Real Pro, which I've worked with them too. Warrior Breed now. So it's a lot. It's just Florida to me, and everybody down here will tell you this. It's so oversaturated.
Okay.
But I like to look at it as a lot of healthy competition,
Okay.
because we're all in this business together.
Absolutely.
There's no
Absolutely.
reason for us to have hate or issues with each other,
Okay.
or with the promotions. Let me just throw that out there.
So throughout your training and stuff, who was your greatest influence in your training and getting started in the business?
Getting started in the business, I would have to say it would be my dad. He definitely had a major influence, because he, having known me the longest, more than anybody that I've been in wrestling with, he knows how to break things down to me. He knows how to make me receptive to certain things, and he's learned how to talk. I'm not saying cater to me or be, you know, I'm sensitive, I can't take, you know, critique. But he definitely had a good bit in it. And then with Pops, I met, you know, Vertigo. Well, Vertigo was in the same dojo I was in Orlando. So, you know, I've got Pops that has always helped me and always blesses me with opportunities and always has knowledge to share. Then you've got Vertigo, and you've got some guy named Death Row Jethro. Like, who is he really?
Right. Interesting. Interesting. We had to reschedule that for tonight, but we're going to do it in May. So I'll probably reach out to you for questions for Death Row Jethro.
He's like an uncle. He's my son actually calls him uncle. He knows him as uncle.
Awesome.
And, you know, and my son knows Vertigo as Theo. So it's Theo and uncle. So they not only have they had a big impact in my wrestling career, they've had a big impact in my life. I wouldn't be where I am without some of these guys.
That's awesome, man. So you're in training and you're like, okay, I've never done this before. You're taking bumps, getting hit off the ropes, all this good stuff, learning how to gig, I guess you call it, and taking chair shots at a young age. What do you have to say to these people that say what you do is absolute fake?
I like to remind them that it's sports entertainment. It's still an it's an athletic, you know, it's an athletic sport. Like, you're still doing all this. It still requires work. It still requires training, cardio, you know, a right diet, which clearly, looking at me, I look like a pile of melted mashed potatoes, and that's fine. I'm working to get in better shape. It's just hard, obviously, when you have a child. But there is some scripting to it, because it is entertainment. It has to be entertainment. It has to be entertaining. But the hits are real for the most part. We've obviously seen some things on TV where you could tell that it's just like, but impacts are real. Everything hurts. It's just to what degree, is how my dad used to word it. I think it's definitely changed over the years. You have one of the very first matches I remember watching was Terry Funk and Sabu in a barbed wire match. Yeah. That it's nuts how good that was, and nobody thought it was fake then. But now you do, you know, it takes something like death matches, which I know a lot of people in the death match industry, that applaud to them, because I couldn't do it. I need this to stay intact.
Absolutely.
Plus, you know, I feel like if I'm just like dripping blood gushing everywhere, my son would not want to come anywhere near me. So let's just be a little bit real there.
Right. And I will say this: I did not get my first taste of indie wrestling until like 2 years ago, when I got in my car. Took my wife and I are foster parents. We run the emergency shelter for foster kids down here in the Panhandle, and we went to Panama City Beach to a brand called XIW, Extreme Impact Wrestling, where Jackson Slade from Tampa Bay, Damian Wayne, Johnny Knockout was there for a stint. I don't know if you know who that is. If you do,
who doesn't know who Johnny Knockout is?
Well, I mean, okay, so there you go. I mean, we'll leave it at that for a while.
Yeah.
I don't want to say anything. No. whatever.
We'll save that for the heat portion of
there
the
you go.
podcast.
And I came along, and this was handed to me.
Okay.
This thing, if you can see that
nice.
dent.
That big old dent.
This was used on Damian Wayne's head.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
And then I think Jackson Slade took a shot from Adrian Whisper with that chair. And if you're so close to the action and you see everything, and they left no need for the imagination that crap is 100% hurts, and it's not fake. It might be scripted, but it still is getting hit with the head in the chair. I'm sorry, that is proof. You can't mock that. So
it's funny because my son, even though he's 3, like, here's the thing. Obviously, adults are going to have a little bit more knowledge as to what they're watching. But like with the children, my son, I took him to Proving Ground, and where my boyfriend was, getting hit and whatnot, and ended up on the ground. And my son almost had a complete meltdown because he thought he was hurt.
Right.
And so for that to get across to children, like, I don't care so much about the adults.
Right.
I want the kids, because the kids to them, this to them is like a dream. This is like, they look at some of us like heroes, and
yeah.
I want the kids to see, you know what? This is magic. This is entertainment. But my son thinks it's real, and that's all that matters to me.
That's right. So how hard is training?
So training for me hasn't been as hard as it needs to be, only because, like I said, it's hard being a mom, having a full-time job, now, with starting a company, and I don't even have 5 minutes to myself very often. If I do, it's in the middle of the night where everything is closed. So, but training, the typical training is very rigorous, because you have to keep your cardio up. Like I said, you've got to get your diet right. You've got to learn how to do things properly. You've got to, I don't want to say properly. Well, yes, properly, but also safely. Because when you're in the ring, it's like a dance. You got to keep yourself safe and your partner safe. And so you need to know what to do in certain situations to make sure that everybody stays safe, because nobody wants to be injured. Yes, things happen, but you don't plan to be injured. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So let's go through some career highlights.
Okay.
What do you consider as your highlight of your wrestling career? What match? Is there a match that you're like, yeah, or an achievement you made, or?
Probably my debut at WXW. Okay. And my debut, well, it's a tie between WXW and with Proving Ground. Because for the longest time, I've looked up to both places in high regards. I put them up on my pedestal. Anytime I've had a debut match has been a big thing for me. Okay. I take it very seriously. I get in my head a lot, which is a very big problem I have had for years. And Death Row will tell you, Vertigo will tell you, anybody that knows me will tell you, I am forever in my head about things.
Is that what happened to the chicken?
No, I didn't burn the chicken. I didn't even I ate the chicken, but I didn't touch the chicken. Because I wouldn't have burned it. Because I would have known everybody's staring at me. Why am I going to burn the chicken? And Vertigo knows that. So shame on you, Vertigo. Shame on you. But yeah, any of that, any of my debut matches, the highlight, though, the absolute highlight would be all of the family that I've made. And I say family because at the end of the day, wrestling is a family. Some of us may not like each other. Some of us may fight with each other. But, with Vertigo and Death Row and, Rafael Delgado, best friends, brothers, family. Yeah. From someone who comes from a small family, gaining such a big family.
Yeah, and that's going to come full circle on Saturday.
Exactly.
Huh? And I was talking to Sean Scott.
Another brother.
More than, don't get me wrong, Chico Adams was a great interview. Sean Scott put it like this. He's going to go out and do his match. And that's going to be fine.
Right.
But when the bell rings to be over, You're gonna be there with 10 years, 11 years, I think he said, 11 years under Pop's wing,
Yeah.
and then you're done. You know, that's
Yeah,
family. And I watched the WXW site, and I think you were on there as well. Everybody paid homage to Pops and the Alpha family and his family, you know, and
on a
that
white,
just
yeah.
a lot of what, yeah, that, and everybody's was just saying thank you, and I just watched, and I'm like, I'm crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he was an impact on everybody, and
Pops, I don't know that Pops fully knows the impact he's had. Obviously, from the Wild Simone Training Center, you've had some amazing, amazing people. And we're all his kids. Batista, Paulie Dangerous, like obviously Paul Heyman, Mercedes Martinez, obviously Sean Scott. You've got Chico Adams, Vertigo. The list goes on and on and on. I definitely when I posted my thoughts on WXW closing, I don't know if you watched it. I started crying. I had to control it because I'm an ugly crier. Okay, like all of this, I would look like a troll. All of this would be just off. um, so I had to control it, but Pops has had such a profound, profound impact, not just in wrestling, but in my personal life. Not just Pops, the whole Anawati family, moms, Vale, Uncle Sika, like everybody. It's crazy. This if you take out the Anawati family, where would wrestling be today? Like,
right,
it's
yeah,
nuts.
right. So my next question, I'm going to change it up a little bit. The original question is, what advice comes to mind that has helped you come as far as you have? I'm going to add something to that. What advice that you have received from Alpha Pops that has helped you come as far as you have?
Invest in yourself, and others will invest in you. Invest in your look, invest in your gear, invest in your skill, invest in everything around you. If you want to make it in this business, if you want people to invest in you and put effort into you and come watch you, you need to invest in yourself. Show up as if WWE or AEW, whoever is watching you. So when one thing Pops instilled in me, and I'm making sure that I instill this in my locker room, you show up as if the big bosses are watching, as if they're there, as if you're going to an interview or to do extra work or whatever on these places. You show up you don't have to show up in a suit, but show up in some nice slacks, a nice long sleeve shirt, a button-up shirt, a tie, whatever. Show up looking like $1,000,000. I always show up to WXW in, dresses. I try to look my best. My makeup's on point. My hair is done, which obviously you see it's not right now. But you show up looking your best. So if you invest in yourself, others will want to invest in you.
Yeah. Sean, again, that must have been instilled through a lot of people, because Sean Scott said, we come to WXW dressed to the nine.
Yep.
And we perform.
And Sean Scott always has, I don't know if he brought this up, but his shoes, whew,
no, we didn't talk about his shoes.
Shoe game is on point every show.
All right. I'll have to have him back on,
Exactly. You're gonna have to just his shoe collection. Just have his shoe collection on.
Let's talk about your shoe collection. So in the business, who's your closest friend, and you still keep in touch with them?
Oh God, that is such an open question. Obviously, like I said, Death Row, Jethro, and Vertigo, Rafael Delgado. Then you've got Noah Vale, God, Hound Dog, his son Damien. There's so many people, and then you've got the new friends. Like there's a beautiful soul, Kendall Ryan. Oh gosh, you've got so many new friends. TJ Brady. There's Uni Vice and Ray Elliott. Vice and Violence over at WWN. There's just so many that it's like my core group. I wouldn't change. My circle has gotten smaller, but the value has grown. So I wouldn't change any of them or replace any of them. They each hold an intricate part in my life that they don't realize. A lot of them have saved me from myself mentally. Some of them have encouraged some bad behavior. Delgado. But,
yeah.
But he is my best friend. And of course, my loving boyfriend, the Iron Kaiser Krieger. He it's funny how the most successful relationships I've had have been with people in the business. It's crazy, but I wouldn't be anywhere without them.
Awesome.
So
I did some digging, and we're talking about advice and aspiring wrestlers. I did some digging, and I love this statement.
Uh-oh.
And can you elaborate on this statement? You made this statement.
Oh, okay. Knowing me, Lord knows what I said, but let's go on.
Born to stand out because I'll never stand in. Proud of how far I've come over the past few years, and I love where my future is heading.
Yeah, I like to tell people I'm not your typical woman. I've always been one of the boys. There's times where I like to get all dressed up and fancy. Then I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I feel like a lot of the women, and this is one of the downsides, honestly, a lot of the women, well, it can be one of the downsides, are looked at as simply just sex symbols in this business. And I shouldn't just say women, everybody, no matter what your gender is or what you identify as. Some of us are looked at as simple like sex symbols, or I bet you would sleep around to get to the top. No, I'd rather punch somebody in the face and bust my ass to get to the top. This business can be very much about who you know or who you blow. Not me. I'm not willing to kiss ass. I'm not willing to suck up. That's just me. I'm just gonna be me. And if you don't like it, all right, fine. Next. Like, I've never been a quiet person. I've been accused of a lot of things. Being quiet is not one of them.
I get that. I gotta get that.
Well, there you go.
Are you one of those? I mean, again, I hate referencing back to Sean Scott.
You're fine.
But Sean Scott would say, I'm the first one in the truck, the last one to be out of the building, and the last one to be out of the truck. Paying it back. Are you one of those girls when you say get your hands dirty? You're there. You're there at open. You're there to set the ring up. You're there to tear down the chairs and the ring and do whatever you need.
Exactly. So it's funny. Most promotions I don't mind. In fact, I never mind setting up, tearing down. If I get dirty, that's fine. That's why I have change of clothes. I have a change of clothes in my gear bag, and I have my gear, so it doesn't matter to me. Now, I will say WXW, us women are not allowed to touch the ring. However, we can set up pipe and drape, and we can handle the chairs. It's a very old school thing that Pops has instilled in us. Now, I will be in there, especially during teardown, and Vertigo can confirm this, and sure Sean Scott can confirm this, and Death Row. I have no problems yelling at the boys if they are taking too slow, because moms entrust that at the end of the night, I know what time we have to be out of there. I do the walkthrough with the building guy. I make sure the ring is out. I make sure everybody gets their gear out. I make sure the bathrooms are clean. The trash is properly taken out. I make sure everything is cleaned. And if everybody is not moving to my liking or to what I would assume would be mom's liking, and I think we're running behind or running slow, I'm going to yell at you. I don't care. And you can not like it all you want, but I'm going to make sure that it's done properly. And then, for instance, when I went to the OCC Roadhouse for the Francisco Chiazzo Memorial Show, I noticed that the ring wasn't being set up properly. And as Billy Grace would tell you, he works with WWN. I've known him for years. I have done more setups and teardowns than he can probably count. And he entrusts him and Sal and Trevin entrust that I know what to do and how to direct people with the ring. Because at the end of the day, I wouldn't let somebody step in a ring or bump in a ring if I wouldn't bump in it myself. So if I don't think it's safe, we're going to do this again until it's safe.
Awesome.
So
I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit.
All right, let's do it.
My question to start this off is, are there any guys, female or male, that you have faced or came across that you don't care to face again or have beef with?
Yes. The short version, yes. Oh God, I guess I have to name names, and that's, you know what, that's fine. Ellie and Blanco Loco. I haven't faced Blanco. I've faced Ellie. I have no issues with her. Outside, we've squashed a lot of beef. There was a lot of tension. I don't have a desire to face her again. Um, Now heat wise, who have I faced that I have heat with? There are a few women that I've was supposed to face, never got to face them, but there's definitely some heat. Oh no, I take it back. I did face her once. I did face this person once. And I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. So there could be a time coming up in the future where I could end up facing her again. I am very big on checking the drama at the door. You don't let that shit in the ring. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't let that shit in the ring, because if you let it in the ring, then it's going to affect your work. And I try to be as professional, as cordial as possible when I'm in ring. Now in the locker room, or, outside, or, in public when it's not wrestling, then it's a different story. But
Okay.
in ring, I try to keep it as professional as possible.
Well, you're dodging the question, so I'm gonna feed you into some things, okay?
Okay.
So I've named a couple names before we went on air, and I'm gonna name these names again.
Okay.
A individual that I came across through watching XIW Extreme Impact Wrestling is one and only JKO.
Oh.
I'm not even give him the Johnny Knockout.
Who doesn't he have a problem with? Let's just leave it at that. Like,
okay.
not even
all right,
like that,
perfect.
but like,
is he that big of an issue down in that area, down in Central Florida, that a lot of promotions don't want him to be part of their promotion?
Mm-hmm. It's just it seems like he flips the script. So if something doesn't suit him, he's gonna flip the script on you and make you seem like you're the bad person, or like you're crazy.
All right. Yeah.
And it's become a problem. It's wherever he's gone, drama has tended to follow him.
Okay.
And you want to try to always keep drama out of a locker room.
Absolutely.
And
you need to. Yeah, you need to.
I can think of a couple of promotions that don't want him around.
Okay. So then one of them that we can touch on, and we can touch on as much as possible, as much as you want. And if you don't feel comfortable touching on, just want to do it briefly.
Johnny Zeke.
I just found this interesting. Can you talk about your opinions regarding Johnny Zeke?
So I remember when Johnny Zeke first got into this business. I remember seeing him, take his first bump. And it's been so weird with Johnny Zeke, because there was a time where we were great friends, and then I became friends with somebody else, and then he didn't like that, so then whatever, and then the friendship with this person fell out, so then Johnny Zeke, it's like he keeps coming and going. I wish he would just keep going, but he's very two-faced. He's very much
I'm going to use your words. You call him a lying, malicious snake.
Mm-hmm. I said it.
And one of the comments that we can finish this part of the conversation with is, you said this, and I want to know if you believe this is true. If he spent more time working on his craft as he does spreading rumors about people, etc., that he would have a future in the wrestling business. Do you think he talks more shit about people than working I'm
going to put it to you like this. The way I put it to, Rafael Delgado and everybody that I've spoken to, he runs his mouth an awful lot for someone who cannot indeed run.
Perfect. That's my hate portion of Johnny Zeke. But I want to go to another promotion that you dab in is Proving Ground, WWE Proving Ground. So
yes, sir.
I want to say this about WWE Proving Ground. I had the opportunity to meet Francisco Chiazzo, Rich Portiala, Ayala. I got that wrong the first time. He cussed me out the first time. But I got to tell you a story about Chiazzo. I got his name. I butchered Chiazzo, so I won't never butcher it again. He looked at me like a thug in the dark. Like he was going to take me out. He got this close to the screen, and I'm like, oh, crap. I messed up my first big interview. And after he gave me about 5 minutes, he says, Scott, you're good. I was just pissing. I was just messing with you. I'm like, dude, don't do that.
He can, Frankie could have, like, he was a very intimidating individual. It for me, for the longest time, it was very much hot or cold with him. I couldn't, like, I thought there was so much heat, and, you know, there was a history of heat, but then up to the day, I had to realize that he was just never an individual to sit here and, you know, with certain people, I feel like he would kind of keep an arm's distance. But then I realized coming into Proving Ground, he wouldn't have let me in Proving Ground if there was an issue.
Yeah.
He knows this business. He had such an amazing impact on this business. You know, he's got kids, you know, quote unquote kids, like Pops has kids. August Artois, the second son, Rafael Delgado, like TJ Brady, Ray Elliott, Uni, all of these guys were not just friends and family. They were his kids. He knows so many. He had such an impact on so many people.
Right.
I just hope he knew that. And
so
I hope he's looking down on his kids and he's proud of them.
So you would put, I don't want to say ratings. I'm not talking Mount Rushmore 1 and 2. I'm asking, so you'd put the value of Frankie with WWN roster and his kid like that, and Pops with WXW on the same kind of level, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, they both
mean the same.
Yeah, Pops has made so many sacrifices for his kids. Frankie made unbelievable sacrifices for his kids. Pops looks out for his kids, gives them every opportunity possible, the same way Frankie did.
Yeah.
And they both have brilliant minds for this business. Yeah. And so I would put them right at the same level.
One of my favorite interviews with WWN is August Artois.
Oh, he's a spitfire for sure.
He's off the charts, man. That's like, you know, it was entertaining. You know, it's like, okay. But yeah, very proud of himself.
Yeah. Well, he was another very much a hot or cold person, but at the end of the day, I have no issues with August. I support what he's doing. You know what? He did exactly what Pops taught us to do. And it's so funny. He's not a product of Pops. He's a product of Frankie. He invested in himself. So now others are investing in him.
Absolutely.
He's doing what everybody in this business should be doing.
Absolutely. So Proving Ground, I read some stuff. On March 15th, you had a 3-way dance against Raven Knight and JC Black.
Yes.
How did that turn out? How'd that go? Can you walk me through that?
It was good. JC needs to watch her back a little bit, but you know, because Raven is good. Raven's okay, but like, I'm the one to not be messed with. I make that very clear to both of them. It wasn't one of my greatest matches, but it is definitely a memorable match. I'm grateful for the match because I look at every match as a learning experience. I learn what I can control, what I can't control, what I can improve, what doesn't need to be improved. There's always room for improvement, but when I say what can be improved, like what doesn't need to be improved is, I feel like I have very good crowd work. I feel like I have very good presence. It's just with more training.
Okay.
You know, so.
Did Raven walk out that victory that night, or did JC Black?
JC did, I believe. Okay. Yes, so, JC did. Sorry. I've had a few concussions in my career, so it's like, huh?
Merrill Pro.
Yes.
Is that your company?
Yes, sir.
So you're the promoter of that company?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So my question as a podcaster, would you allow Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast to work alongside of Merrill Pro to interview your roster and have talent from your show on the show going forward? Awesome.
Of course. I would love it. I'm investing in these guys. I want them to invest in themselves. And if the Merrill Pro locker room wants to interview them, they're more than welcome to. I would encourage them to interview. And I'm thankful that you want to interview them.
Absolutely. I mean, I love the Florida scene. I I didn't realize how much, how do I say this, how much good talent is out of Central Florida.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I live in the Panhandle of Florida, so I got XIW, but I am super stoked because uh Vertigo told me that Sika
Mm-hmm.
is starting a promotion over in Pensacola,
Uncle Sika. Yep.
and I'm like, dang, I would love to do that. So Dr. Powerhouse, you know him?
Yep. There he is. If you
He
could do
can
it.
do a weekend interview. I'm first on the roster. He must be
Dr.
part of.
Powerhouse. So that's Rafael Telcado.
Is this is this from Mara?
Yeah, he's from Mero, but WWN. He's the second son of Francisco Chiazzo.
Okay.
The
Dr.
Dominican.
Powerhouse.
He's the Dominican powerhouse. That man is Dominican as they come.
Dr. Powerhouse,
Yeah.
I do podcasts on the weekend. I do Saturday, Sunday, 8 p.m. Central. If you could look me up on, is it Dr. Powerhouse on Facebook?
So it's not Dr. Powerhouse, it's DR as in Dominican Republic. But yeah, he's on Facebook. I'll send you his, just another moniker to use now. Oh gosh. Yeah, for sure. I'll get you his information and get y'all linked up.
The DR then?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, see, I got in trouble from I don't know if you know this guy, Koa,
Yep.
Hawaiian, whatever he calls himself. First time I met him, he's sitting in front of his Mustang with bills on top of the Mustang. And I'm like, okay, whatever, dude. I referenced him as KOA.
Oh yeah.
4 times.
Oh gosh.
He goes, would you shut your mouth? It's not KOA, it's KOA, damn it.
Some people are very particular. I
But
try to correct people in a nice way.
Yeah. Let me see. Some of the things you said, I'm going to make this quite clear, you said, because there seems to be doubt and disbelief. This is me. This is mine. I have absolutely amazing team behind me to support me and help me. That's what you said about Maro.
Yes.
We have an awesome venue that will remain exclusive to us. This is not a promotion that books based off friendships and favoritism. There is a very specific concept at work here. All that being said, there's Maro, right?
Mero, yeah.
Maro. Again, I got it wrong.
Shout out to Aaron / Caden Green for that. He came up with he was one of the first people I hit up about it. He right under Ring Breaker. Would hey dad pop? Oh yeah, the Ring Breaker. He was at a real quick side story on that. He was at a promotion and slammed the guy, and the ring broke.
Wow.
Yeah, but no. So Caden helped me with the name. Him and Death Row and Vertigo are my agents. They're my grounding. I throw concepts at them and they're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Let's try it this way. Okay, you know what? Because obviously they've been in this business like 1,000 years. Back in the olden times, ye olden days, when they first got into this business. So I trust they know what I want, and I trust them more than anything. Okay. And then of course you got KSP Media, which is TJ and Uni and Ray and all of them, and they're helping me out too. So I have an amazing team. I have an amazing concept that I'm very proud of, and I intend to see this through.
Awesome, man. I'm excited. I can't wait to have the opportunity to interview your roster. Yeah, going forward. So you've been in Riot Pro and New Heights Wrestling. So is there any highlights of like big moments, huge pop moments that you could share from each of those?
Yeah, so it's been a minute with Riot. Everything about Riot I love, from the owner, promoter, JD, another brother of mine. God, I appreciate him so much. And of course he's got Death Row there and Vertigo working with him because they have the training school now. Just everything about Riot. And then with New Heights, there's a lot of guys up there who I don't know if they get the opportunities they deserve. But being up there, I was able to do a move that I hadn't done before. And when the crowd saw it, the crowd, even though they hate me up there, shout out to that crowd. they they enjoyed the move. I get the pop, if you will,
Okay.
when I go there.
All right, there you go.
Even though they don't like me.
That's all right. I get pops when I don't like them, when I'm like not like either. So hey,
Right? A pop is a pop.
Pop's a pop. Fans. That's what we're talking about. Fans. Those are the ones you get the huge pop from. How important are fans to you at WXW, Riot Pro? And then there's got to be the meaning's got probably different, maybe not different, between a fan of you in the ring and how are fans as important to you or more important to you with you as a promoter?
So the fans make the business, because if fans weren't there, like, what are we doing this for? Who are we doing this for? Why are we doing this? Like,
Right.
Are we just performing for ourselves? They become, it's funny because when you're in ring, whether you're the bad guy, the good guy, the face or the heel, or vice versa, the heel or the face, you got to kind of play around with the crowd reaction. It's so funny. Like, as a heel, you want the crowd to not like you, want the crowd to hate you. As the face, you want them to love you. But then, like with Krieger, I look at him and it's so funny. Or even like with August and with some of these other guys, they're so hated that they're liked. The fans pop for them whether they're good or bad. And you want that reaction just as much as you want the appropriate reaction for being the heel or the face. Because without the crowd is there. They're buying tickets. They're there to see you. They're spending money on you. And as a promoter, you kind of got to take a step back and like not cater necessarily 100% to what the crowd wants, but you kind of got to put out something that's going to interest them, make them want to show up. Okay. And so it's like you got to find the balance.
So now will we see at Mero Pro the same concept that was instilled in your brain through Chiazzo at WWN Proving Ground and AFA? Are you taking from each? Did you learn from them? Is that what you're going to instill in what you want to see with your promotion?
Yes. So what I want to see with my promotion is my goal is to put on matches that have never been seen before. Unfortunately, when you have so many wrestlers in one state, you tend to see some of the same matches over and over in various promotions, which fine, whatever. We know those matches are going to be entertaining. I'm not taking away anything from them. But you also don't want to see the same thing over and over and over, because at that point it could get stale, or it could get, what are you going to do to add to that match that'll draw fans in that they haven't seen before?
Right.
Why not just put on a different match? But you've also got to be business smart about it. And you've got to invest in the promotion and the show, so other people will invest in you. So I'm taking a little bit from everybody. Okay. From Pops, from the short time I knew Frankie, the short time I watched him, how he ran things and how he creatively had a hand in things, and Sal and Trevin, and obviously, and everybody at WWN and everybody at WXW and various promotions that I've either worked with, been in the ring for or whatnot. I try to take a little bit from everybody, because everybody's been in this business. Everybody has something they can teach, awesome, whether they know it or not.
Awesome. I'm excited. So, I take care of foster kids. I stated that before. Mm-hmm. So we eat dinner together, and they know what Mr. Scott does all the time. So I'm not Huge Pop. My name is Scott. So just in case you need to know that. They want to ask questions.
Okay.
So we talked last night. So these are the questions that came up. And I asked Chico and I asked Sean these same questions. Interesting statements. But favorite food?
Ooh.
And everybody does that. When I ask favorite food, it's like, ooh.
Because, okay, are we talking favorite dish, or are we talking like specific type of cuisine? And are we talking like food, or are we talking dessert?
When I say food, it could be an entree, it could be dessert, don't matter.
Okay, so favorite type of cuisine, I would have to say Asian or Italian, easily. But ironically, my favorite dish would be my mom's shepherd's pie. It's not your typical shepherd's pie, which is made with lamb. It's great, but it's definitely it's either her shepherd's pie or the Jewish chicken soup, which is like 3 generations old recipe. And then my Mima God rest her soul, used to make the best German chocolate cake. So that's why I say it's one of those. It's different. There's different answers.
Okay. So does pineapple belong on pizza?
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite book?
Ooh, Black Beauty.
Okay. Favorite TV show?
Oh God. I have 3 that I watch fairly consistently. Friends,
Okay.
The Office,
Okay.
and Game of Thrones.
Okay. Awesome. Favorite movie?
Gone with the Wind.
There was a 4-hour replay of
And
Gone
I
with the Wind.
sat through it the very first time I ever watched it.
Did you? All right.
I
all
did.
right.
And I was like 10 years old.
Have you watched the Fiend Bray Wyatt movie yet?
So the series, you mean the documentary?
Yeah.
I started to, but I had to get ready for work, and I could already tell I was about to cry, and I was like, let me not look like a whole mess.
Right.
So I had to stop it, but I did start it, and I plan on watching it.
Awesome. Do you have any hobbies?
I like to paint. I like hockey. I don't play it. Like if I could skate, I would be dangerous. I would end up in the penalty box all the time, honestly though, because I tend to have a bad attitude sometimes.
No,
not
you.
And I like going to theme parks. I'm a theme park person.
So you're a Disney person?
Both Disney, Universal,
Okay.
Busch Gardens.
Okay, cool. You live in the area for it. I mean, come on.
Right? I live in between all of it, so it's great.
Yeah. I only want to ask this question because I can see it, and I'm a fan of them too. Favorite sports team? Yeah, figure right.
There it is, right there. Also,
Bay.
I could have just done this. Let me get it. Nope, other way. There it is.
All right, yeah, all right, yeah. Perfect.
Then my first game was 2004 when the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. Shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning. And one of my good friends, ironically, used to play for us, Andre Waugh.
Okay.
Spent more time in the penalty box than he did on the ice.
There you go. There you go. Nick Vick says hello, everyone.
Hi, Nick.
There you go. I'm a Detroit Red Wings fan, so
I'm sorry.
We're trying to get into the playoffs. You guys are already in the playoffs, but hopefully we'll meet and then we'll have some beef. So,
and then you can get right back out. So it works.
That's how it works. Do you have a Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
Oh, I had a feeling this question would come up because I've been asked this before. Oh God, I feel like so many people are gonna get upset with me if I don't say the right names. In no particular order. So Mount Rushmore is what, 4? In no particular order. Stone Cold, Undertaker, Lita.
Thank you. Finally, someone puts her, because she's a boss, man. She's like,
she is. Oh gosh. Now, can a tag team count as one, or are they two separate?
No, absolutely.
I'm gonna have to go with the Wild Samoans.
Okay.
And that has nothing to do with the fact that I'm one of Pops' kids.
Yeah.
Has everything to do with
you're one of Pop's kids. And you didn't burn the chicken, damn it.
I didn't burn the chicken, Vertigo. No, everybody that's on that list has a brilliant mind for this business, has their own individual way of working. Because if you look at them, they both kind of have their own individual styles. Yeah. And it's just, wrestling would not be where it is without them.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned Lita, and is there a female wrestler that you model your style after?
I used to try to model. So before I was the daddy hunter, I was known as the queen of the trailer park. Okay. And I used to kind of model it a little bit after ODB.
Okay. Yeah.
So shout out to Jess. She
has a food truck, doesn't she?
Yes, and I'd had her food. Oh my gosh, it is so.
Is that down in Orlando or Tampa?
So she travels. I think right now. I don't think she's in Florida right now. Okay. But she travels, and I had the pleasure of testing her food when she was at a GCW show down here.
Okay.
And it's so good. It was in a cup, right? So it was like pulled pork There was like coleslaw. It was just this mountainous cup, and it was just so good. It was so, I was fat and happy. Now I'm just fat, so it's fine. Um,
Before we get to WXW, and I want to be able to make a little bit of time for that, and I saved that for at the end because I, as a fan, I'm emotional, so I can't imagine what you guys are. So, but I pulled some of these statements you made, and I'm just going to ask this. I'm going to read the statement, and I'm going to ask this the question. So,
okay.
never want to conform because I was born to stand out. Why be normal when I can be unique? Break your heart, then steal your soul. Can't be contained because I'm the one in control. Is this statement a one that you live by in the ring and outside the ring, or both?
Both. I've always prided myself in being different. Uh, why? There's only one you. Only you can truly be yourself. People can try to be you. They can try to imitate you, but you are the only one that is uniquely you. It's so normal to me. Is such a disgusting concept, kind of like taxes. Shout out to the American government. Taxes are the biggest BS scam in the world. But normalcy is boring. I've been called a lot of things. A lot of things. I've been accused of a lot of things, but being normal, I can say with pride, has never been one of them. It's just more fun.
Right. Weak women walk a thin line and follow others. You say, I, however, am an alpha female. I forge my way, my own path, and lead the pack. People continue to doubt me, and that's fine. It's fun proving others wrong. Bow down, for the queen is now before you. Is that a statement you live by?
Yes, sir. And I try to live it in ring and out of the ring. Again, it goes back to not wanting to be normal. I don't like being a follower. I definitely have alpha energy. I don't, I can follow when I need to and when I know I have to. But I definitely like to lead. I've always been more of a leader. I don't have to be in charge, but my energy reads being in charge.
So,
And that's just how I am.
as you're saying that, and as you read these things, so Maro Pro, are you gonna wear that ring that says boss?
So I'm not, but it's so funny. People have asked me all the time, like, are you gonna wrestle? Oh, I'm sure you're gonna wrestle. I'm not. I'm very adamant in the fact that I refuse to wrestle at my own promotion. I'm not gonna be one of these. And I'm not going to take away anything from anyone that does this, but I'm not going to be one of these promoters that puts the belt on myself. I feel like it's the biggest insult to your roster when you put the title on yourself. Because to me, that's reading you don't believe enough in your roster. You don't back your guys enough to trust them to carry a title to represent you. Yes, you represent yourself, but why put a title?
Right.
Who needs a title? There are no titles at Maripro. I don't know that I want titles. I haven't decided that yet. Okay. I don't want, because has a title ever been put on me? No. I have never once in the 13 years I've been in this business had a title, and that's fine. I used to care. It would be nice, but I don't have to have it. A title doesn't make the wrestler.
True. I mean, they put on a title on Cody Rhodes, and
he deserved it. I'm sorry, I cried. I'm not even gonna front. I cried.
I'm getting off topic, but I have concerns about where they're gonna go. I think they made a huge mistake. I think they should have let Roman Reigns beat Hogan's record. I think he, for 4 years, carried that company for 4 years. And I could say a lot about, I could have a segment on Roman Reigns, and not once after he lost that night, Tripp could have stopped everything and brought him back, and so he could get the flowers that he deserves, right? And that's because he did deserve that. Now, don't get me wrong, Cody Rhodes finished the story. I just hope there's somewhere else to go with his, after he's finished the story.
There
So
will be.
So I say that because I didn't ask you about Mero Pro. Do you have? Are you going to have storylines? Because for me as a fan, I think some kind of storytelling is very crucial to get invested. Does that make sense?
Yes. I get what you're saying, and storylines can be very crucial. And I'm not opposed 1000% to ever having storylines, but like I said, my big thing with Mero Pro is matches and things that have not been seen before. Like if you look at my matches, okay, you got D Ramos, the New Yorican D Ramos versus the King of Battle, Nick Quinones, and the New Yorican street fight. The two of them have never faced off. You've got Death Row Jethro versus Osha Osborne, never been seen before. You've got Vertigo versus Rafael Delgado versus Univice. They've never faced each other either.
That should be huge.
I mean, you've got Aaron, which Caden Green. You've got him wrestling. Oh gosh, who is he wrestling? I swear to God, I had it memorized. I was like, yeah, let me get my match graphics out. But actually, hold on, I can look it up because I have it right here.
Put you on the spot, huh?
You did, and I feel so bad. Let's see, who is Aaron wrestling? Aha. Where is it? Oh gosh. Okay. Where's his match? Hold on, I gotta find his match. But you've got the Sexy Angels versus Kiss It Gang. Okay. You've got the Puerto Rican Hound Dogs versus the returning after 5 years, Tragic City. So you've got these matches that just you've never seen before. And the thing is each match they each have their own concept to it. They know, I trust them all. They know what they're doing.
Okay.
So I've paired them up the way that I have. Okay. Like you also have Zach Monstar versus Jason. Okay. I've paired them up the way that I have because I trust these guys to make it make sense. Like I said, I've got Vertigo and Caden, and I've got Death Row there to kind of for these guys to come to them and be like, hey, this is what we want to do. Okay. And they'll clear it with me, but if they're good with it and I like where it's going, then yeah, we're good with it. But I trust everybody there.
Awesome. Before we finish with WXW, in the ring, do you feel you are the queen of controversy? Is that something you live for?
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a little controversy every now and then. I don't know that I'm the queen. Good Lord, I can't speak. The queen of controversy, but I definitely I like other people's drama when I'm not involved in it. Okay. But then drama does kind of find me occasionally.
Oh yeah, I can see why.
Clearly with Johnny Zeke. Clearly. Again, runs his mouth for someone who can indeed not run. Oh, that's what it is. It's Caden Green versus Bud Heavy. Like, how can I forget that match?
Bud Heavy.
Bud Heavy, yes.
Bud Heavy, okay.
Yes.
So
match graphic up.
We've came to this time, and it's WXW. I've talked to 3 people so far: Vertigo, Sean Scott, and Chico Adams.
Yes.
And all 3 have mentioned the same thing. I'm going to just ask these questions. Alpha, the Wild Samoan.
Yes.
Thoughts on Pops? Thoughts on working with him and the history of WXW?
There's no company that matches the history of WXW. No company on the independent circuit that matches the environment that WXW has created, both family environment, both wrestling environment. The love, it's so funny. It's like a stern love. He really does treat us like all of us like his kids. He loves us, wants to give us all these opportunities, and yet if we don't deserve it or if it's not warranted, he has no problem letting us know. Now, props to Moms and Vale for being the somewhat voice of empathy sometimes, because Pops is very old school, and you know what? I wouldn't have him any other way, and I love him for that. But you know, sometimes moms and volley and vertigo, the words are needed to kind of not translate as if we can't understand him, but to word it in a different way, because some people are receptive to different types of statements, different types of energy. But there's no company on the independent circuit that can compare to that.
So we talked a little bit earlier about you're going to bring your gear. You don't know what you're really going to do that day, but you're going to bring your gear, correct?
I am. I've always been trained, no matter what, even if you're not booked on a show, you bring your gear, because you never know what opportunities are going to pop up. I'm not expecting to work. If I can work, I'll work. They know that. I'm there to help out in any way, shape, or form that anybody in that locker room needs. Pops, moms, volley, vertigo, death row, whoever. I help out however. And I learn. I always go with an open mind so I can learn. Quite often I'm sitting in Gorilla, sitting next to Pops and them, and, you know, just listening and keeping my ears open so I can improve on things that I do outside of WXW.
So you mentioned, you did say, I didn't even ask this question, but I normally do. I don't know what happened. But listening, sitting in the gorilla room.
Yes.
You mentioned the gorilla room with Pops
Mm-hmm.
and Sika and them.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's missing from the wrestlers today, that they don't pay attention? They don't listen to the likes of Pops, Vertigo, the legends that are in their back in the locker room.
100%.
You think that's the reason why that's important? Obviously,
they are there. They are the foundation that brought us all where we are now.
Now,
and I've said this a couple of times, where would we be without them? Where would wrestling be without them? They have such a storied knowledge, such a long history of, they've been there, they've done that, they've learned what works, what doesn't. And yes, you always need to take knowledge from different parts, but you can always learn something from someone. It's something I'm gonna miss, man. I can't. Absolutely. It's gonna be hard. WXW's been there for me when I didn't think there was anywhere else to go. They've had my back in some of the most difficult times in my life. And it's going to be hard. It's so hard.
I got chills. Unbelievable. My hair standing up. I'm not even asking. My next question was, what kind of emotions do you expect?
I'm going to be bringing a bunch of tissues.
I mean,
I'm going to be bringing all of my makeup, because I can promise you I'm going to need a retouch. I have very good setting spray, but I'm still going to be bringing all of my makeup, because I'm sure if I don't, somebody else is going to need it. There's going to be so many emotions. I never before and that I know of, has WXW ever had to limit the amount of people allowed in the building. We were given a capacity of 300 people. 100 of those are for the staff. And then we were only allowed to sell 200 tickets. And I wanted to make sure that I had a place there. So I think I've purchased 8 tickets. I've ended up giving them away, except minus my ticket, just because I had to be there. I told my boss at work, she's been trying for 2 days to convince me to come in on Saturday. I told her absolutely not. I said, you can put me on the schedule, but I'm not coming in. I will call out. I'm letting you know I'm not missing WXW's grand finale. I refuse to.
How could you? I mean,
yeah, like it's not even, I'm not even concerned about all the names that are going to be there. I just need to be around family one more time.
You're going to cook the chicken after the party?
I'm going to leave that to Vertigo so Vertigo can burn the chicken.
I had to put that in 3 times. Anyways, emotions are going to run high. Sean Scott said it great. He said, I'm going to go there, going to be there. The emotions will be all right when I get there. When I'm watching through all the matches, he goes, when it's going to hit me, it was when that final bell rings on that final match, whether I win or lose. That final bell.
I don't know that I'm going to be able to hold it together the entire night. I think that first bell, it's going to start clicking. And I think I'll be able to hold it together until I see some of these guys start crying. I think then it's gonna hurt. And I promise you, if I start seeing pops or moms or Vale or anybody cry, I'm done. I know I'm gonna lose it 100%.
So let's talk about pops.
Okay.
So WXW Saturday night ends. Here is Daddy, Hunter, Ashley, while they're going to Riot Pro, while they're going to New Heights, wherever you go, even when you are at Merrill Pro running your business, running your promotion, will Pops be on speed dial to say, hey, I need some advice?
I know I can always reach out. And even if he doesn't respond, I know I can always reach out. But at the same time, I, along with everybody else, need Pops to focus on his health. We want Pops around as long as possible.
He hasn't had a very easy 6 months. By sounds of Facebook.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I could have made it in the 6 months with everything that he's had going on. The amount of strength he has, and then the amount of strength moms has, and Vale, and everybody in the family, Alpha Junior, and just everybody just being there. I can't imagine how they've had to pull themselves from the depths. Like, it's so funny. We get told all the time that as moms, as like mothers to children, we don't have the luxury of quitting. We don't have the luxury of taking a break because somebody always needs us. And moms and Vale and Pups, like, I feel like they know they don't have that luxury, but I also want them to know that they have an amazing support of children behind them and siblings with them, that if anything is needed at the drop of the hat, we're there. If you feel that moment of weakness, you can reach out to any of us and we will be there for support.
Absolutely. So here's the time of the show that it's your turn.
Okay.
You can close the show. I would love you to tell the fans where they can see you at, where they can if there's any up and coming challengers that you want to fire a shot at, go ahead. If there's a plug-in that you want to plug in your promotion, this is your time. And after you're done, when I think you're done, I will say goodbye to the people. And I'll play a song, but please stay on. Don't leave the chat room.
Okay.
I want to talk to you about a couple of things. So
okay.
Daddy, Hunter, Ashley, it's your turn.
So you can always find me on Instagram at the.daddy.hunter.ashley. And that's THEE. You can find me usually almost every Friday night at Proving Ground, except this Friday. I have to work tonight, so I won't be there tonight. But then, of course, you've got the grand finale of WXW tomorrow. You've got, I've got Warrior Breed on the 18th. But before that, I've got Merrill Pro on May 11th. That is my baby. So I would love for the fans to come out and, support these guys, support all our local boys, come see some of the most badass guys in this business. And we already have shows secured through the end of the year. So just come out and see us, come out and enjoy what we can do and what we've got. I promise you will walk away entertained. And I've got, the 20th of April is Amp Pro Wrestling up in Smoke. You can catch me there as the ring announcer, which has been a lovely new adventure I've been able to experience. Just keep an eye on the socials. There's also the Daddy Hunter Ashley on Facebook. And of course there's TikTok and Threads and the Twitter, where you do the tweeting of the stuff. I'm not very active on Twitter. I really need to get better.
That's why you don't know. That's why you call it Tweeter, right?
The Tweeter. Well, I almost said something else, but we're not going to go.
Sorry.
But yeah, so just keep an eye on the socials is the best way. I've like I said, I've had a few concussions in my time in the ring, so I have oatmeal up here, so it's kind of just mushing around. But just keep an eye on my socials.
Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. It's been another awesome hour and a half. We did talk a lot about the Daddy Hunter Ashley, her career, her highlights, her dislikes of certain people. Very opinionated, very strong-willed young lady. I 100% appreciate your interaction. Daddy Hunter Ashley, I 100% appreciate your willingness to share your stories. Check out WXW tomorrow night. 5:30 is when it starts. You can see it. I believe Vertigo said it will be on Facebook Live. I will also be streaming it live on the Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast to be doing an interaction type thing. So stay tuned to that. Join us on Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast if you guys want to react with me. It's been a pleasure to Daddy Hunter Ashley. I can't wait to work alongside with you and your promotion. I'm excited about that.
Thank you.
This is Huge Pop Wrestling Podcast. And before I end, I got to find the music. There you go. And it's where we keep it real, and that's why it's live, and we love you guys.
All my dogs, make some noise up in this house.
Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the grind. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your head is knocked out.
Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with the devil, because when he's dealing with you, you cannot get on this level.
Fight with Adrian Whisper is like a fight with a king. It's like a fight with an army. They got the tanks and everything.
He's leaving bruises and stitches, possibly leaving you crippled, cause when he sets up the table and sends you straight through the middle.
6 sadistic free, beat that ass with a light bulb. Leave a piece of glass embedded in the back of your skull. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out. Who is in the house? Who is in the house? It's the gangster of destruction, so you know what's going down. And when the drive-by's coming, then you better hit the ground. Cause when your body hits the canvas, then your ass is knocked out.